Well, if you listen to Siri, you know Siri talking. Oh, sorry, president. What did you say? Siri says. I mentioned Siri, so Jenny started bloody iPad this up. They're not listening at all, are they? Siri was congratulating. You have no idea. Sensitive at this stage. Thanks for taking the out. You do realise that I'm not allowed to be, so I can't see why you can't pause in it. No, I'm not very good. Hey, Ellie, hey. Hey, Ellie, hey. No, occasionally. Only if I listen. I can't remember it being much longer down.
Thank you, councillors. Welcome to the Shire of Manjimup Ordinary Meeting of Council, Thursday the 13th of June 2024, commencing at 5:30. The Shire of Manjimup respectfully acknowledges the Noongar people as the traditional custodians of the lands in which we work throughout the region, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. I have a few announcements this meeting. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge and give our deepest sympathies to our councillor Jade Darren on the loss of her beloved father. We send our deepest sympathies to her and much love. I would also like to acknowledge the 100-year celebration of the CWA that I had the privilege of going and attending and celebrating with scones and jam and cream with our legendary Mrs. Barton, and discussed some of the exploits that she used to get up to in her early days, as well as the accomplishments and the achievements that the CWA have achieved. I also had the privilege of attending the Walpole fundraiser, the Get Down, Get Up, the fundraiser for the farmers. It was a fantastic night. They had some fantastic live music. It was truly inspirational that such a small community comes together to support their farmers and their community. It was completely community raised, and all the funds go straight back to farmers to support them with their livestock, with feed and fodder. It's an absolute credit to Walpole Councillor Wilcox. You live in a fantastic little community down there. Also, the 15,000, Manjimup 15,000 was back. An outstanding success once again. Thank you to Dirt High Promotions and Willie Thompson. Absolutely fantastic. The weather gods held out, made the Sunday an interesting day with a little bit of mud and a little bit of water, but what is 15,000 without mud and water? We also have the Truffle Kerfuffle coming up shortly, and I would encourage everyone to get out, support one of the largest events that we hold within Manjimup by either attending the main event or the satellite events. We also have the Warren Donnelly Water Advisory Committee is put out expressions of interest for 4 community members. Their applications are on the DWER website. Anyone that has any interest in water and water security within the Warren Donnelly, or if you know of someone, encourage them to apply. Although it is an advisory, it's a very active committee, and I would encourage you to have a go. On another note, we have I have the great privilege of congratulating one of our own councillors who was honoured in the King's Birthday Honours and is now an official OMA. She is a OAM. Oh, I've got that even written down. She is a force to be reckoned with, a formidable dogged and tireless worker for her community. Congratulations, Councillor Wilcox. Attendance, we have one apology in Councillor Jade Darren. Our approved leaves of absence, we have none. Declarations of interest.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two financial interests declared by Councillor Wendy Ivey. The first one in relation to item 9.2.2, the proposed lease to the Warren Catchments Council. And the nature of the interest is that Councillor Ivey is employed by the Warren Catchments Council. And also in relation to item 14.1.1, the unconfirmed minutes of the Community Funds Program Occasional Committee of Council held on the 7th of May 2024. And the nature of the interest is that she is paid for work by the Warren Catchment Council, Southern Forest Arts, Growers Village, Northcliffe Visitor Centre, who have all applied for those grants. Councillor Ivey also has an impartiality interest, which she has advised us on item 14.1.1. As the nature of the interest held is that she is a member of the Southern Forest Photography Club, and Councillor Winfield has declared an impartiality interest in agenda item 9.2.2, which has to do with the Warren Catchment Council lease, as he is a council representative on that committee.
I just realised I probably should have, Madam Chair, a conflict of interest, as I'm a member of the Manjimup Country Club, which I believe applied for one of the grants. So should I fill in one of these forms now? Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't read it. I couldn't actually read the names of all the applicants, but I do believe there was one.
It was very small. Thank you. Yeah, if you can just get it up before the item comes up, that'd be
Madam
great.
Chair?
Councillor Amadou.
Just seek clarification. If there are organisations that have claimed grants or requested grant application, do we have to declare an interest in those, or are they an interest in common?
Can I just seek clarification? I think last year we... Yeah, Kenny, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam President. If an elected member is a member of another committee or organisation which is applying to the local government for discretionary funds, i.e. grants, then generally an impartiality interest will be required unless the elected member receives remuneration for their role with that committee.
Thank you. Okay, public question time. 5.1, response to public questions taken on notice. There are none. 5.2, public question time. Vast gallery tonight. Under meeting procedure determined by the Shire of Manjimup Standing Orders, Local Law 2013, this is the only opportunity for members of the public to ask up to a maximum of 2 questions of council. There is no further opportunity to ask the Shire of Manjimup during the meeting. Questions can be asked on any Shire matter, not just on issues included in the meeting agenda, and each person shall have up to 3 minutes to ask their questions, which may be extended by an additional 3 minutes where considered appropriate by the presiding member. Persons asking questions are entitled to a response unless the question is declared out of order by the presiding member. If any matter requires further investigation, that response may be in writing. Any person asking questions of council must state their correct name and town, as this will form part of the public record of the meeting. Are there any questions? Am I missing anyone up the back? Presentation. 6.1, petitions. There are none. 6.2, presentations. There are none. 6.3, deputations. There are none. This is going to be a quick meeting, isn't it? 6.4, delegate reports. There are none. 6.5, conference reports. There are none. Would someone like to confirm the minutes, please?
Madam President?
Councillor Odo?
Yeah. I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the council held on the 23rd of May 2024 be confirmed as a true and correct record, and I note the abridged responses to the questions that I asked, and also note that the virtual presentation is verbatim, but the printed version is not.
Thank you. Councillor Wilcox.
I note that there's an omission for the foreshadowed motion regarding 9.5.5.
In the minutes. Thank you. Is there a seconder of the minutes which will include those alterations? Councillor De Campo? Thank you. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. Thank you. Motions of which previous notice has been given? There is nil. Section 9, Officers' Reports. For the interest of the gallery, I will explain how we are about to consider the agenda items for this meeting. All councillors have had the agenda for 1 week, giving us time to thoroughly review each item. This meeting is the only time that councillors are able to formally debate agenda items. Soon I will read out each item listed in the agenda, and any councillor will be able to identify an agenda item they wish to debate. These items will be listed on the board behind me. All items not identified by councillors will be debated. To be debated will be moved in accordance with the officer's recommendation in one motion as listed in the agenda and moved en bloc for voting purposes. If your item is not listed on the board and is moved en bloc, it will be passed as per the officer's recommendation. Following this, council will consider the remaining items in agenda order. Okay, 9.2, Corporate and Governance. 9.2.1, Quarterly Report, January to March 2024, Business Directorate. 9.2.2, Proposed Lease to Warren Catchments Council, Inc., taken out. Finance and Administration. 9.3.1, Adoption of Proposed 2024-25 Fees and Charges is absolute. 9.3.2, Monthly Statement of Financial Activity, April 2024. Statutory Planning. 9.5.1, Delegated Planning Decisions, May 2024. 9.5.2, Request for Development Application Fee Waiver, Lot 478 Ibsen Street, Manjimup, Dunreath Cottages is absolute and taken out. 9.5.3, Proposed Dam with Setback Reduction at Lot 460 in brackets 28191 Southwestern Highway, Middlesex is taken out. Request 9.5.4, Request for Reconsideration of Conditions of Planning Approval at Lot 664 in brackets 12 to 16 Margerson Street, Manjimup is taken out. 9.5.5, Retrospective Application for an Ancillary Accommodation at Lot 129 in brackets 33 Meerup Street, Northcliffe is good. 9.5.6, Proposed Budget Adjustment, Replacement of Solar and Battery System at Windy Harbour Campground is absolute and taken out. 9.5.7, Proposed Extractive Industry Gravel, Lots 2339, 2340 and 2684 Wim Landing Road, Wilgarra is good. 9.9, Community and Recreation Services. 9.9.1, Request to approve and expend reserve funds, Manjimup Regional Heritage Asset Management Audit and Plan is absolute and taken out. Technical Services. 9.12.1, Naming of the road extension of Forestry Glen, Pemberton. Parks and Gardens. 9.14.1, Investigation into drought-proofing Northcliffe Recreation Grounds is taken out. Advisory Committees. 9.16.1, Unconfirmed Minutes of the Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting held on the 15th of May 2024. 9.16.2, Unconfirmed Minutes of the Bushfire Advisory Committee meeting held 17th of April 2024. 9.16.3, Unconfirmed Meeting Notes of the Manjimup Ray Park and Collier Street Redevelopment Advisory Committee meeting held on the 14th of May 2024 is taken out, please. 9.16.4, Unconfirmed Minutes of the Manjimup Heritage Park Advisory Committee meeting held on the 14th of May 2024. 9.16.5, Take it out. Sorry. 9.16.5, unconfirmed meeting minutes of the Manjimup Town Activation Advisory Committee meeting held on the 8th of May 2024. 9.16.6, unconfirmed minutes of the Reconciliation Action Plan Advisory Committee meeting held on the 10th of May 2024 is absolute and taken out. Councillors? Councillor Ivey.
I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the Council officers and committee reports on pages 1 to 89 of the agenda, with the exception of those on the board.
Seconder? Councillor Mylan. All those in favour, councillors? Carried 8-0. Okay. Page 10. 9.2.2, proposed lease to the Warren Catchment Council Incorporated. Councillor de Campo.
Thank you, Madam President. I have an alternative recommendation. It is one that I'd like to move an alternative recommendation, I should say. One that the Chief Executive Officer to execute a lease of the former cafe building in the Manjimup Heritage Park to Warren Catchments Council Incorporated for a term of 1 year at a rental of $10 per annum as per current council policy, with an option of a further 5-year term once a review of peppercorn leases in conjunction with the strategic asset review is completed and a report has been presented to council, subject to 1.1, Warren Catchments Council Incorporated being responsible for the lease preparation fee, 1.2, lease conditions to the satisfaction of the Chief Executive Officer, 1.3, the building is provided in an as-is condition with the lessee to fund the fit-out and modifications for their use, 1.4, approval of the Minister of Lands, and 1.5, the further 5-year term being consistent with the planned Shire-wide lease review and revised Council Policy 4.2.8, leasing, property leasing. With point 2, direct the Chief Executive Officer to undertake a review of all leases with clubs, community groups and recreational bodies and anything considered a peppercorn lease. This review, along with the proposed strategic asset review, is to inform a revision of Council Property 4.2.8 property leasing with an aim to increase income from all leased buildings.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Mylan? Councillor de Campo?
Thank you, Madam President. We have been discussing in length over the last 6 or 8 weeks, maybe not 8 weeks, in relation to budget matters and strategic assets and how many assets we have and where they're at and what they're going to cost us. And we have a number of buildings that are leased out with peppercorn leases for 83 cents a month, actually, and we don't actually have to collect that. So 83 cents a month in buildings that we allow leasing to, which aren't maintained in general correctly, and in fact they're not even insured by them. We have to claim the insurance on our LGIS insurance to replace windows. We've just heard today of a group, community group, let's say, who is earning a commercial income, who has a significant government budget, who we've given a building to for 83 cents a month. So I'm not saying we shouldn't give the building to Warren Catchments Council. I'm saying what we should do is give it to them for a period of this 12 months. It may be extended for 12 months if we haven't got the strategic asset review done, and then review the policy so that we can formulate a long-term view on our buildings, what we should have in the asset base, what we shouldn't have, how it's going to be maintained, and what the best fit for our buildings are. Can I say, in the words of JFK in relation to this, is that these are risks and costs. There are risks and costs to action, but they are far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction. So I'd like you to support this motion, if you will. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question before we go any further? Has the Warren Catchment Council been advised of this amendment? They have?
Madam President, yes, they have, on email communication. Yeah.
Okay. Have we had any feedback from them on that? Have they acknowledged the email? Okay. So as far as I know, they've applied and are talking to Lottery West about fit-out grants. Given that they would only be getting with this proposal a secure 1 year lease at that amount is, you know, have we really given them enough notice or indication? This has been a long-standing question of them going down there. I'm just wondering if this amendment, you know, that there's no one here to represent them. So I'm just wondering where we stand on this. This is something that maybe I'm actually debating this.
Point of order, Madam President.
Sorry,
I'm
Councillor
going to
Winfield.
speak along the same lines against the
Beautiful.
motion.
Thank you. Councillor Mylan, did you want to speak for? Anyone against? Councillor Winfield.
We've heard today from a number of struggling community groups, and Warren Catchment Council is another one. They don't receive any money apart from government grants, and they are really on the bones of. The amendment does not give Warren Catchment Council any secure tenure behind the year, and this accentuates what the Madam President just said. And perhaps had they known that beforehand, they may have looked elsewhere for their digs, and they certainly wouldn't be applying for large grants to outfit it. Whilst I have sympathy for Councillor De Campo's wishes to pursue a review, I actually believe that the review of policies and stuff that should be done through councillor discussion and brought back to the staff rather than done through a motion. So I urge you well, along the lines of the quote debate here, I think it was Mark Twain, will do the right thing, it'll gratify some and it'll astound others. So I urge you to go back to the substantive, and if Councillor De Campo wishes to pursue the review, then it's done through councillor discussion. Thank you.
Councillor Winfield, could you foreshadow the officer's recommendation? So if this one doesn't get up, if Wade's doesn't get up, Councillor Ducanis, then we go back to
The substantive.
the substantive, yeah. So you're foreshadowing the officer's recommendation. Okay. So, any other speakers for, against? For, thank you, Councillor Ventris. This is for the alternative.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and one of the reasons I support the alternative is because I'm not sure on some of the details. So on page 10 and page 11, we see that the Warren Catchment Council trades as. So I'm unaware of exactly what business that they engage in and whether they actually engage in business and a commercial, while they receive a lot of the funding, do they have a commercial footprint? And so my question would be, based on our policy, for example, our policy is if anyone rents a building from the Shire, a policy says that they should be charged rates. Now, there's no mention about rates in here, but if they're engaging in commercial activity, as the current policy and the way I read the current policy regarding rates, anyone that hires a building or leases a building, regardless of the cost, should be paying rates. So that's not really dealt with here, just to raise that question. On page 11, it says, details of the proposal goes on to say, was considered in the agenda item of 16th of December 2024. Can someone tell me when the 16th of November 2024 was or is?
It's in a few months.
So I'm a little confused about that as well, that it was considered an agenda item on the 16th of November 2024. So I'm concerned about the accuracy of that information that's been provided. And then also, I just raised the point just a little bit above that. Advertising for expressions of interest in this building was advertised in August 2021. Now, if that date is correct, that's nearly some 3 years ago. So in that 3 years, has there been any other groups, like art groups or whatever, that may have, expressed an interest in that building? So some 3 years. And then further down the page, on page 11, it says the WCC are not requesting to extend the lease area beyond the footprint of the building at this time. And yet further, as we get to an item later on, we see that there's a request that they be put in a demonstration garden. Now, demonstration garden by nature will be outside of the footprint of the building. So again, I question the information that's been provided to council to make this decision when it clearly says that they're not requesting to extend the lease beyond the footprint of the building. Yet clearly in this agenda, there's a desire to extend that footprint. So, would you like me to show you where it's in the minutes of the? Would you like me to show you?
Is it in the previous minutes?
No? Okay. With the permission of the... If we look up... sorry. Let me just get to... It's in the minutes of the Heritage Park in the page 79, 916.4. If you look at the unconfirmed minutes... Sorry about that, I never had it. There's a request, sorry for not having the information close at hand, but there's a request to put a garden in, basically, by this group, a demonstration garden. And you'll find the information in item 1916.4 under the Heritage Park Advisory Committee meeting, where the request was brought forward. It's on page 79. Sorry about that. The council note that Manjimup Heritage Park Advisory Committee supports the Southern Forest Community Land Care to utilise the northern garden bed located near the old cafe building as a demonstration water-wise garden. Okay, so that's stated in the agenda, that this group wants to have a garden, and yet I just showed you on page 11 that says WCC are not requesting to extend the leased area beyond the footprint of the building at this time. Now, I'll just raise some of those questions. So, at the end of the day, speaking to the motion, because a lot of these things aren't clear, it's 3 years since it's gone out to expressions of interest, I think it supports the councillor De Campo's suggestion that we put in a 12-month situation, because I don't believe that we've got the adequate and clear enough information provided to council to proceed ahead with a 5-year lease. And I think in this situation, all these things can be reviewed. And so I support the alternative motion put forward by Mr De Campos, so some of these questions that I've got can be cleared up. I certainly don't know that it's possible to hold a meeting, an agenda item on the 16th of November 2024. I think that unless we've got a time machine, that's somewhat difficult. So I think some of these matters and this agenda item can be cleared up, and we make a commitment for 12 months. And then as for making a 5-year commitment to a company that does training, the questions on whether they should be paying rates, all those types of things could be sorted out a bit clearer. Thank you.
Can I just sought clarification from the Director of Community Services about the garden?
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Winfield?
I attended their meeting representing the council last week, and my recollection is they clearly did not want the garden at this stage.
Thank you. Councillor Ventris, can you just turn your microphone on? Thank you. Councillors, given the discrepancies in the dates of this item and the discrepancies that Councillor Ventris has brought to our attention, would it be timely to defer this item? Councillor De Campo?
I wouldn't think so. It'll come back with the same discrepancies,
Yep.
so that's probably not an option. I do have some questions, though, actually, if that's possible, before I close.
Yep.
Warren Catchment Council currently have a home, is that right?
No.
So they're not in DOW now, is that
No.
where they were? Okay. I'll close if that's no one else got any.
Thank you. There's no other speakers for and against? Yep, thank you, Councillor.
I was trying not to make this about the group, unfortunately. And I'll deal with that after the meeting, because I'm getting a bit tired of a few things in the chamber. I wasn't making this about the group. This is about our buildings. This is about our strategic asset management. This is about rentals long term. This is a 10-year lease, by the way, and I imagine that our leases are written so that we can't get out of them, but the operator can. This is not about Warren Catchment Council. I'm quite happy to lease the building to them if all the parameters suit the council. We do have a lot of community groups, and maybe we should be looking at you know, a community hot desk, a community hub, for want of a better word, given that we haven't had such a good run with the word hub in another town. However, maybe a community hub where, you know, we've got 2 operators down in the building down there, and we're about to give another building out for 10 years, and yet we're looking for a new chamber. So potentially we just need to think outside the box a little bit. If it does hold them up a little bit, I'm sorry about that, and I do regret that. However, we're here to make decisions based on the best interest of ratepayers, and right now we've got some 400 plus buildings. I think 50 of them are out to lease on peppercorn leases, and we don't have any money to maintain. So it's all about rationalisation. It's all about, you know, potentially, and it's about a good policy going forward. I was trying not to make it about the group because the group does good work, and I urge you to support this motion, and we move forward on that basis.
Thank you, Councillor De Campo. Okay, councillors, can we put Councillor De Campo's alternative motion to the vote, please? All those in favour? And against? Carried 6-2. 5-2. Oh, 5-2, sorry. 5-2, because Wendy's not here. Okay. Page 13. 9.3.1, adoption of proposed 2024-25 fees and charges. Someone want to move the motion, please?
As
Councillor
per
De Campo.
Council's officer recommendation.
And seconder, Councillor Omadé. Councillor De Campo. Councillor Omadé. Although we'll put it to the vote then, councillors. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. I used to say 9. 18, page 22. 9.5.2, request for development application fee waiver, lot 478, Ibsen Street, Manjimup, Dunreath Cottages. Councillor De Campo.
Thank you, Madam President. I just pulled this out for an addition, actually, point 2. So it is that I move that 1, approve the request by Dunreath Cottages Incorporated to waiver the development application fee for application TP 2024/6 by reimbursing the $5,041 application fee already paid. But point 2, direct the Chief Executive Officer to 2.1, include in the next revision of fees and charges schedule due for consideration at the ordinary council meeting on 8th of August 2024 that includes the option for the Chief Executive Officer to waive development application fees for developments between the value of $500,000 and $2 million from not-for-profit community groups, charitable organisations and sporting groups, and 2.2, in conjunction with 2.1, review Council Policy 6.1.1, general applications for planning consent to provide criteria to guide the Chief Executive Officer in determining when to waiver fees associated with the development applications from not-for-profit community groups, charitable organisations and sporting groups. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Thank you, Councillor De Campo. Councillor Omadé.
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor De Campo.
Thanks, Madam President. Really, what this does is the delegated authority used to be with the CEO to be able to waive these fees. It was taken away a little while ago, wasn't so long ago. What this does is gives that delegation back through policy and through good policy. 2.2 will, the general applications will determine that, so that reports don't have to be drawn up and brought to council in relation to this. It can be done automatically by the CEO.
Councillor Omadé.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support the officer recommendation with the addition provided by Councillor De Campo. Dunreath Cottages Incorporated is a very good organisation, well led with an excellent board, and it's got a track record that we can be very proud of. Their recent application for a self-supporting loan to expand the cottages, I think, is a step in the right direction. And for any of you that visit Dunreath Cottages, you can see how well it's been run. The people that live there speak highly of the organisation and the support that they are given, and I think that this recommendation is in order, and I support it strongly.
Thank you. Any speakers against? Any speakers for? Councillor De Campo, did you want to close?
No.
All right, let's put it to the vote then, councillors. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. 25. 9.5.3, proposed dam with setback reduction at lot 460 in brackets 28191 Southwestern Highway, Middlesex. Councillor De Campo.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move as per officer's recommendation with the replacement of 10 metres in condition 1.3 with 1.5 metres and the addition of point 3 and point 4 to read as follows. Point 3, instruct Shire staff to review clause 8.4 XXIV. What's that, 24? No, is that right? Yeah. B, related to the 20 metre setback of dams to property boundaries as part of the preparation of a Shire of Manjimup local planning scheme number 5 with the view to reducing the setback to property boundaries. And point 4, amend the Shire's register of delegations, authorisations and appointments and council policy 6.1.22 to grant the Chief Executive Officer authority to issue approval for development applications for dams with proposed setbacks of less than 20 metres to a minimum setback of 5 metres to property boundaries where there's no objection from an adjoining landowner or state agency that has been received. Dams with proposed setback of 5 metres or less are to be considered by council prior to determination.
Seconder?
Second the motion.
Councillor.
Second the motion, Madam President.
Thank you, Councillor Amade. Councillor De Campo.
Thank you. In this case, Madam President, 1.5 metres is a small setback, that is true, but it is unique in its very nature by the positioning of this dam and the requirement. I have spoken to the applicant. The indication he got from council staff was 5 metres. However, if he gets to take it back that extra couple of metres, it gives him a little bit more capacity in his dam. It's a very small dam in any case. The other parts of the motion put on the books that we need this situation sorted so that we don't continually have dam applications coming to us for reduced setbacks. That's all. It puts it officially on the books so that it can be dealt with, because we tend to regularly say, oh, we need to do something about that, and it isn't that anyone doesn't do anything about it. People are just busy and they get on with the day-to-day business of things and things get lost in the ether. So what this does is officially put it on the books, and hopefully as a part of town planning scheme number 5 or local planning scheme number 5, the setback will be back to 5 metres and we will never see another dam setback issue in this chamber, hopefully. So I urge you to support the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Amade.
Thank you, Madam President. I support the motion, and as Councillor De Campo has indicated, I too have spoken to the proponent. I think this is the 3rd dam of a similar size that's come before council, and you might recall we were, because of the zoning, we were imposing even a engineer's certificate for dams that were, 5 megalitres. This dam's going to have the bank height of 1.5 metres. So, I think common sense would dictate that why is it coming here, and I think what Councillor De Campo's motion does, it clarifies that and gives a capacity for the CEO to approve those without coming before council. As far as the setback from the boundary, if the imposition of a 10 metre setback were to be put in place, it would render the dam unfit or unusable. We're talking. There's already a depression there for those of you that have gone to have a look at it, where they've taken gravel out sometime in the past. This is really just an application of common sense. We've got a dam that's only 5 megalitres. It needs to be at the lowest area on the property that can be where a dam could be made. And as has been said, the dam's not a big dam at all. And if you look at the comment made by Main Roads about the impact on the road, if you just travel a little bit further north on the right, you'll see a pipe, about an 8-inch pipe, about 8 inches, 250 millimetres, coming from the MPC hard stand, which would put a lot more water onto the main road than anything that would come out of this dam. So I support the amended motion and recommend you vote for it.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against?
Yeah, I don't believe reviewing the planning scheme and council policy, once again, should be part of a motion. It should be something that's discussed and brought back to council. So whilst I accept that 10 metres was far too far, and I asked about the misprint. I think 5 metres would be fair. So I think, point 4 also doesn't differentiate between land class zones in the planning scheme. So this might not be appropriate at all on small rural holdings or something like that in smaller blocks. So this is what this is advocating as a more blanket approach, and I think that this needs far more discussion. So I'm suggesting that we go back to the substantive and Councillor De Campo moves a 5 metre setback rather than a 1.5. Thank you.
So you would foreshadow the officer's recommendation again? Thank you. Question? Or yep.
Can I just ask a question? Do the staff consider it an acceptable risk if we drop the setback down to 1.5 metres instead of 5?
Acting Director of Development and Regulation.
Oh, look, in terms of whether it's an acceptable risk, look, we follow council policy in the scheme. It's at council's discretion to vary a setback if it sees fit, given due regard to the information put to in front of it.
Councillor Ventris, question?
Yeah, just the question about the going to 5 metres. Does that, even with that in place, 5 metres, if an application came for a particularly big dam, tall dam that was close to our assets like roads and stuff, there's nothing precluding staff from making a decision to bring that to council. So while we set it at 5 metres, so I just need some clarification on that particular point. While we might set it at 5 metres, that's not a blanket automatically that people are going to be able to do that. That means that, if it's more than 20 at the moment, they don't even have to come to council. That's my point. They just go and blanketly build the dam. My concern is in that 15-metre situation, you could have a really big dam that's close to someone's house or whatever it might be, or a road asset. Would it still, is there the capacity in the application, or do they not need to have an application once we adopt this policy? I'm just a bit confused about whether the 20 metre stays in and then you guys make the decision between 5 and 20, or yeah, do you understand my question? I'm just not quite sure. I know outside of the 20, no application required, but if it's between 5 and 20, will an application still need to be lodged, and then you guys can do, sorry, you better turn that, the staff can deal with it administratively, and if there's something of concern, you can bring it to council. I just wanted clarification on that one.
Councillor Mylan.
Are you taking speakers for or against the motion?
Yeah, for.
No.
Oh, question? Sorry, yes. Yep, sorry, question. Yes, thank you. Yep, definitely.
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry, Councillor Molan, I just need to address Councillor Ventris's question first. And if the Acting Director of Development, Reg, can correct me if I misstep here anywhere. So there is an as of right in the planning scheme for a dam. If it is outside of the 20 metre setback zone, anything within the 20 metre setback zone requires the Shire approval. The motion from Councillor De Campo essentially creates the delegation for the staff essentially through myself to deal with that. Notwithstanding that there is a delegation, if there is a particular risk or a peculiarity to do with the particular application, there's no reason it can't be brought through to council. Yeah. And Madam President, I will just note, it won't be an issue, but the substance of the motion from Councillor De Campo requires an absolute majority decision because there's a delegation involved in it. Not sure that will affect I don't think it can affect the decision, but it's just a note for the record.
Just noting too that part of Councillor De Campo's amendment is that where there is no objection, so anything that there is an objection, that would still come back to council as well. Any other speakers for the amended motion? Against? No more speakers for. Against? Councillor? Yes. Thank you. Against? Councillor Mylan?
Thank you. Originally, I was going to speak in favour of this motion because I've had a look at this in this particular instance. I've had a look at this dam too, And I understand that if you were to build the toe of the dam very close to a boundary, then you could, up against a road, then the inundation could occur and wreck the road. In this case, the road verge is about probably 30 metres of bush between the Southwest Highway and where the actual fence line is. So I think 1.5 metres. I'll be supporting the original motion with a 1.5 metre setback in this case. However, the reason I'm speaking against the motion is because of the second part. Now, I believe that from the remarks of Councillor Winfield, it probably does, and maybe Councillor Ventris as well. I think it does need a little bit more attention to the detail of what we're requiring about these dams and setbacks. But I do support the concept that we are able to expedite these requests much quicker, and if we can delegate those authorities. So I'm foreshadowing that I'd probably vote against this motion, but I would be supporting an amendment to the original motion with a setback of 1.5 metres in this instance.
Any other speakers for? Would you like to close, Councillor?
Thank you, Madam President. I think there is a modicum of confusion here. So with relation to the setback, this dam wall is lower than most deep ends of swimming pools. Let's just remember that. So let's give the guy as much chance as he can to collect as much water as he can, as Councillor Moylan has suggested. Points 3 and points 4, in relation to Councillor Winfield's concern, all it does is instruct staff to review the clause in preparation of the next scheme. It will come back to us. It is not fait accompli tonight. It will come back to us. But what it will mean is that when we have our little group session, and we will, and we'll go, okay, we've got a review of the town planning scheme coming up. What are your issues? And at that point, we'll go dams and their setbacks. What that does is it already puts it within that review, and it will come to us already in there at the 5 metres. At the 5 metres. Point 4, in fact, and I'm hoping I'm not correcting you, but I think I am. At 5 metres, it will always come back to us until the scheme is reviewed, because it's 20 metres in the scheme now. But what it allows the staff to do, it allows the staff, when somebody comes in and says, I want 5 metres, it allows the CEO to put a motion to council at 5 metres rather than giving a straight away, no, you can't do that. Because the last sentence in the point 4 is that dams with a proposed setback of 5 metres or less are to be considered by council prior to determination in every case. So it really means nothing. There is no delegation being handed out tonight that dams can be built at 5 metres or less. There is an authorisation to the CEO to allow staff to consider applications at 5 metres rather than 20 metres, and then not come to us for the consideration of that setback. It will come to us as the 5 metres for approval as a setback. So to be very clear, 1.5 metres is about dam capacity in this circumstance. This is a priority ag piece of land, by the way. It's zone priority ag where that block is. Point 3 just foreshadows a change in the town planning scheme and its review. It takes, to get an amendment through the town planning scheme, Mr. Giadresco?
Thank you.
Through the chair, probably be, could be anywhere between 12 months, 2 years.
So I'm not asking for an amendment to the town planning scheme number 4. What I'm foreshadowing is an issue we see in this room nearly on a meeting basis, to be able to give staff delegation to give an approval, still through council, at 5 metres. So I hope that clarifies some points. And at 5 metres, each and every one of those applications has to come in here for us to be approved anyway, until the town planning scheme is reviewed and is passed. So I hope that clears up some misconceptions and clarifies the reasons point 3 and 4 in. And again, it is to get it on the books, because we say every time in every meeting, why is this here? Why are we doing this? Why are we putting our farmers through this, or our hobby farmers through this? Why do we have to do it? And that is the reason, is because our scheme says that it has to be done. So if we need to start foreshadowing these things and changes within the scheme, so that when we do review the scheme, and we will, we sit around and have our kumbaya, that we don't overload the staff at that time with all of these changes we want to have. If we can start doing them now, it'll be much easier for the staff in the long term. So I urge you to support the motion in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor De Campo. Okay, let's put to vote, please, councillors. All those in favour? And against is 5-3, carried 5-3. Thank you. Page 32. Right, isn't it? Yes. Okay, 9.5.4, request for reconsideration of conditions of planning approval at lot 664 in brackets 12 to 16 Margerson Street, Manjimup.
Thank you,
Councillor
Madam
De
President.
Campo.
Excuse me, for the fear of having the same argument as the last one and the one before. I move that Council 1, subject to the payment of $147 being the fee for a request for reconsideration in accordance with clause 10.9, resolves to reaffirm the imposition of condition 2 and delete condition 4 of development approval TP 53/2024 at lot 664, 12 to 16 Margerison Street, Manjimup, and provide additional condition 6 as follows. Condition 6, the proponent and or the owners of the land are required to enter into a deed of agreement prepared and executed at the cost of the proponent with and to the satisfaction of the Shire of Manjimup to guarantee the provision of reciprocal right of access for vehicular car parking requirements where applicable. The agreement must be executed by the applicant before the development is occupied. Point 2, instruct Shire staff to incorporate a review of the landscaping provisions provided in the Shire of Manjimup Local Planning Scheme number 4 at the time of preparation of the Shire of Manjimup Local Planning Scheme number 5 with regard to industry zoned property.
Seconder? Councillor, oh, you can.
Okay.
I'll second it then. Thank you. Councillor De Campo.
Thank you, Madam President. This is, to me, a common sense amendment to the previous motion. What it does is takes out his requirement for landscaping. It's an industrial area, it's a concrete yard, there's lime sand, concrete and blue metal. It is not changing in its nature by size, it is putting a drying shed there. However, the requirement in the scheme is that any development application must have a landscaping clause to it. The parking is common sense. What it does, it puts a caveat, I imagine, over the other property that if it were to be disaggregated, divested off of that particular piece of land, the parking must go with it and vehicular access be allowed. The point 2, and we've had some discussion about these in this meeting so far tonight, all that does, again, is foreshadow that this needs to be looked at in our new town planning scheme so that staff can go along and look at it and potentially make changes, but again, we'll get together in this room and we'll discuss it before it's not, again, a fait accompli. It is that we have all of these things coming in front of us regularly where we go, oh, we've got to do something about that, or, geez, I don't like that policy or whatever, but we never ever get to the point of putting it on the books that we want something changed. So in relation to this, I think I've heard the groans about landscaping requirements in the industrial area from every applicant. However, they are in most cases forced, would be the best word, to do it because they want their application to go through as smooth as they can. We live in a service town. We have an isolated industrial area that thankfully has a nice car wash that the landscaping provision has enhanced the entrance to our industrial area, but just remember his landscaping deals with his wastewater as well. So there is a reason for that. So I just urge you in the essence of common sense to support this alternative motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I 100% reflect what Councillor De Campo has said. This is a long-standing business who is not altering it's no change in the business. It is quite simply putting another shed over to protect what is also essentially already there. The caveat to make sure that if those properties are subdivided again, that parking and entry is made sure that we do have parking for both blocks. I would urge you to support it. Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor De Campo, did you want to close? Let's put it to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? And against? Carried 7-1. Page 44. 9.5.6, proposed budget adjustment, replacement of solar and battery system at Windy Harbour Campground. Councillor De Campo.
Could I move as per officer's recommendation, Madam President?
Seconder. Councillor Ivey. Councillor De Campo, did you
Could I
want to
just
speak to
congratulate
it?
staff on bringing this item to council rather than deliberating through the budget process, and it's a worthy use of the reserve, as the reserve is what it is used for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ivey. Are there any speakers against the motion? We'll put it to the vote, please, councillors. All those in favour? Carried 8-0. 58. 9.9.1, request to approve and expend reserve funds, Manjimup Regional Aqua Centre Asset Management and Audit Plan.
Madam
Councillor De Campo.
President, could I please move per officer's recommendation?
Certainly.
And, sorry.
And a seconder? Councillor Mylan. Councillor De Campo.
Again, this is what the reserves are used for, and I think that it's a great initiative of staff to deal with the problem. And I'm sure a shout out to Ashley Giadresco, who would most likely use the pool, and I'm sure that she'll be very happy that we're dealing with the OH&S issues there tonight. Yummy beer.
Councillor Mylan, did you want to speak too? Are there any speakers against? Let's put it to the vote, please, councillors. All those in favour? And against? Carried 8-0. 66. 66. Feel like I'm at bingo. 9.14.1, investigation is drought proofing the Northcliffe Recreation Grounds. Councillor Mylan.
I'd like to move as per the officer's recommendation.
Seconder? Councillor Ivey. Councillor Mylan.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to this motion to endorse the improvements to this recreation ground. An irrigation system and the provision of a turf management plan. I think that this is something that our Shire really needs to turn its attention to in all of our grounds. In this particular case, I noticed that there was a report attached from a consultant that went into some depth about soil testing and soil analysis, with the view to not only increasing the dam, obviously that's an issue, but once that's happened, there are ways to utilise water in smarter ways, to also look at the whole soil biology. And I speak for this because of my little bit of experience, more recent years in the country club, where we've done a number of remedies to our turf there, which is really all about getting the biology, which I'm not an expert in, into some kind of balance, and applied these products, and the results are, get the pH levels correct, and making the soil, giving it capacity to take up the nutrients that are applied. So what I really like about the attachments were that it's possible for us to support the volunteers who maintain these grounds to work with someone who in the future hopefully provides them with some guidance as to how they can aerate their soil, do the other programs to bring it about. So I think this is a really good move, and I like seeing good sports grounds.
Thank you. Councillor Ivey.
I think everybody understands my feelings on this. It's a long-standing issue for the Northcliffe community, our water security, and the rec ground in particular is a well-utilised venue, and it's really important for our community. So I hope you'll support it.
Thank you. Are there any speakers against? Excellent. Shall we put it to the vote then, councillors? All those in favour? Is carried 8-0. 76. 9.16.2, unconfirmed meeting notes of the Manjimup Ray Park and Collier Street Redevelopment Advisory Committee meeting held 14th of May 2024. Councillor Ventris.
I'd like to move the officer's recommendation.
Is there a seconder, Councillor Amadei? Councillor Ventris, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I'll take a risk and speak. Look, it's another one of these ones where I don't want to be critical of the people that have turned up at the meeting, but I think it's one of these ones where we just pass it through and then the unconfirmed minutes. And I think we just need to stop and have a look as a council. It may be the message behind the message at this meeting. And I'd just like to draw a few notes, and this is not a criticism, but in this meeting, we were unaware about our success or failure as to the grant funding, and we know that we had a disappointment in that. And I'd like to start by congratulating the amount of work that Avi and this group have done in putting the application forward. But at the same time, I think maybe we need to, that setback that we've had, we maybe need to just stop and take a breath. And I've raised this issue to some degree in the past. We've got a meeting here where we managed to get a minute taker and 6 people in attendance, 1 staff member and 5 community members. Now, that's not a criticism, it's a statement of fact. We had no councillors at the meeting, and I know we're all busy and I'm busy and I miss meetings, so that's not a criticism, but that's the facts of the matter. This is a $15 million project. We can argue the figure, $10, $15 million, but it's a major project. I've been a supporter of the project in the whole 7 years. Councillor Darren was here. We don't always agree on everything, but we certainly agreed on this, that this was a severe deficiency in our community, that we don't have a decent sporting facility in the community. And somehow I think we've failed to take the community with us. I think that's the honest truth. In most communities where we're proposing to spend $15 million, $10 million on a sporting facility, there'd be excitement in the community. We'd have the community support. So whether it was Mount Barker or other examples, Merredin, Katanning, Wickerpin and places like that. There's been funds gathered, a community's got behind it, and there's been a community excitement about this project. And I think we don't have the community excitement about this project. I've raised it before. It does concern me that because we haven't raised any money, it doesn't help our application for funding. Like, we're going up against towns that have put in crops and done marron and whatever, and I don't think it's the amount of money that the community can be expected to put into a project like this, but it's the embracing the community. So even if we set a target of $100,000 or something like that, where the community had to raise that money, it takes effort, it creates buy-in. And I don't believe in this project we've managed to get buy-in. So I think we've got great plans, it's certainly needed, it's certainly supported by council, but somehow we've failed to embrace the community. Now, it's not easy to make comparisons, but we wanted to do up little taddies in Pemberton. We asked the mums and dads there to contribute $80,000 towards that project so they could take the asbestos off and improve that building. We know about the hub in Pemberton. We know about the tennis courts here where they raised $250,000. This is a lot of money and it involves a lot of groups. You know, if we ran the hat around the community and went to every business and asked them to contribute $250, we could rake up 25 or 30,000. I myself would personally be prepared to contribute to this project. And I have contributed to projects like this in the past, Katanning. I contributed to the project at Wickerpin and at Muckenbuden and places like that. I haven't got an opportunity to contribute. I've never been given the opportunity to contribute to this project. We've never actually gone to the community and asked them whether they wanted to contribute. Are there people out there that are prepared to contribute to this project and haven't been given the opportunity? And I'd even raise up another extremely contentious issue, and with Councillor Jenkins here, I'll risk that as well. But have we officially gone to Imperials and said to Imperials, this is a crossroad in time, what would it require for you guys to even consider shifting, selling possibly your property for $1 million and shifting down to a large community project and that you become part of this project? We have never actually asked them that question as far as I believe. We've just made the assumption that they don't want to be part of this project. And I think we've made a mistake there. We just assumed, we've never officially asked Imperials, are they prepared to sell their property for $1 million, which would be a great advantage potentially to someone like Keenan College. And I'm only surmising some of that sort of information. And for a figure, maybe they are prepared to shift and have a facility that would suit their requirements down there. We're proposing
Whilst I agree with the councillor, point of order. Point of order, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, in moving this, I think would you like me to retain my seat?
Yeah, can you, yeah, thank you. I think we got the gist. Mr. Omadé, Councillor Omadé.
Madam President, I support the officer's recommendation and the adoption of the report, and concur with one thing that Councillor Ventris has said, and that is the support of the staff who've been behind this, Evie and Shamara, and the staff in general. This is our signature project, Ray Park Collier. And yes, it was one of those meetings, I think I've been to nearly every single one of them, Madam President, and I noticed you weren't there either, so I had a very good reason. I'm sure there are times, Councillor Ventris, when you just can't get to a meeting, and I don't think, I think your comment about the level of importance of this committee ill-founded, so I don't agree with that. Well, most of the time I do agree with things that you say, not in this case. So I endorse the issues that were raised and the updates in regard to Western Power, the delays and so on, which were, I think, discussed by yourself today with the delays from Western Power. As far as consulting over Imperials and those things, which really have got nothing to do with this report, they have all been canvassed before. You'll find all of these issues have been canvassed. What happens at Ray Park Collier has been canvassed before, but widely over a number of years. So I just support the adoption of the report.
Yes, you can. Councillor Winfield.
I concur with Councillor Omadé. I was a proxy for that meeting, but I had a funeral in Perth on that day, so I had a valid excuse. But that's not why I'm standing up. I'm standing up because, like Councillor Omadé, I think we had successive dozens of meetings, and there was an enormous amount of enthusiasm and attendance at those meetings. I think 100% attendance on a lot of those meetings. So this one didn't run to schedule, but I think I'm sure there's enthusiasm for this project in the community.
Can I speak for the motion too, Madam President?
Sure. Councillor De Campo.
How unusual is that?
It is unusual that we're on the same page. Mind you, we were going okay for a while. I'd like to speak for the motion. I'd like to also speak for free speech, for the ability to ask questions in chamber, for the ability to question staff without being chastised and without being frowned upon. And if it's this motion that it comes out in, then it's this motion that it comes out in. I think anyone should be able to move a motion, ask questions on the motion. I think there are some valid points in Councillor Ventris's dialogue, but one valid point is, and I agree with the two prior councillors speaking before me, is that staff have done a wonderful job, and this is a plan that has been endorsed by the supporting community of Manjimup. So I just wanted to, though, mention that free speech in this chamber should be something that should never be frowned upon.
No quote. No quote. What? Thank you, Councillor De Campo. Are there any other speakers against or for? Or would you like to close, Councillor Ventris?
Yeah, I'd like to close and just clarify again. Certainly
Councillors.
certainly no criticism directed at any of the staff or any members or any of this meeting. I still maintain that the enthusiasm is not lacking in this group or anyone in this group, but I still maintain my position in that I think we're in a community of 5,000 people, and there's room to expand the enthusiasm for this project. There's room to consider making a contribution to this project, and I think I just encourage all people that are listening to my comments, have heard my comments, don't focus on the negative and the stuff that I've got wrong. Try and find something that you can support, and I think in doing so, we can support the people that are doing the hard work and support AV and stuff, that we are concerned about it, we have discussed, we're considering ideas, and I think we're going to need that to get this project up and over the line. I think we're going to need to have a couple of honest discussions. If the discussions have already been had with the Imperials, well and good, we can always go and have another discussion. I mean, I think as a community, we won't get this project unless we can all have a discussion and all embrace it. And we need to embrace more than what we've
Councillor
currently
Almaday,
got.
respect,
Thank you.
please. Thank you, Councillor Ventris. All right, councillors, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour, all those in favour of the officer's recommendation. It's passed 8-0. Thank you. Oh, where are we? 79. 9.16.4, unconfirmed minutes of the Manjimup Heritage Park Advisory Committee meeting held on the 14th of May 2024.
I move as per officer's recommendation.
I think Councillor Ventris may have pulled this one out. Thank you. Councillor Mylan. Councillor Ventris?
Yeah, I just want some clarification. Councillor Winfield said that was incorrect, that the Southern Forest Community Land Care to utilise the northern garden bed located near the old cafe building as a demonstration waterwise garden. I'd just like some clarification. Do they want to rent the building only, as in the earlier item, or do they want to go outside of the footprint of the building? And I think it's not on page 80. That doesn't make it clear, so I think I'd like some clarity. Are we deciding to allow the Southern Forest Community Land Care to utilise the northern garden bed located near the old cafe building as a demonstration water-wise garden? Yes or no? And who will be paying for the water would be the two questions that I would like clarified to know for sure what we're voting on, particularly given that Councillor Winfield stated in the chamber that this is not a request from the Southern Forest Community Land Care.
Thank you. Director of Community Services, can you give some clarification?
It is actually a request from the Warren Catchments Council to be able to consider the planting of that garden bed as a water-wise garden. It was actually minuted as such at the Heritage Park meeting. The garden already exists, it's in decrepit state. They're not actually asking to lease that space. The Heritage Park is a community park that we have multiple community users that assist right across the park, whether it's plantings or whatever. They're simply asking to be able to put some plants in there that will reflect water-wise. There won't be any water because it's about water-wise. It's actually using exactly the same space as they have. The Heritage Park Committee felt that it was a fit-for-purpose activity within the park and therefore supported the proposal. There is no additional lease area being requested.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Councillor Mylan, any other speakers for or against? We're good? Okay, can we put that to the vote then, please, councillors? All those in favour? Carried 8-0. 87. 9.16.6, unconfirmed minutes of Reconciliation Action Plan Advisory Committee meeting held on the 10th of May 2024. Councillor Ivey.
I move as per the officer's recommendation.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Mylan, thank you. Councillor Ivey, did you want to speak to the motion? Councillor Mylan? Let's put it to the vote then, please, councillors. All those in favour? Is carried 8-0. Thank you. 8-0. Okay. Okay, item 10, late reports. There are nil. 11, questions from members. There's the response there to Councillor Darren's question and the response from the Chief Executive Officer. 11.2, questions from members. Councillor Almaday.
Madam President, I have two questions seeking information, and please take them in the spirit that they're intended. The first question is, have you and the CEO met with the principals of Baptist Care to discuss the proposed aged care facilities at the old hospital site? And if yes, what was the outcome of the meeting? Do you want to take them on notice or give a response?
Yeah, we can respond to those now.
Okay.
Yep.
And the second one is, in the interest of transparency, has the Shire purchased a house in Sherrington Way? And 2, if yes, who conducted the purchase? What was the total price paid for the house? What are the sources of the funds? And has a press release been distributed regarding the purchase? And if yes, will it be provided to councillors for councillors' information? And is there a written agreement with the CEO? And if yes, will that agreement be made available to councillors?
Okay, it's the first one.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councillor Omaday. First question in relation to Baptist Care and the vacant site adjacent to Warren District Hospital. Have I got the terms of the question correct? That's the site you were... Yeah. I met with one of the regional directors from Western Australia of Baptist Care and one of the... I think it was from New South Wales. Baptist Care are going through it's like federating. They're pulling all the different state bodies into one federated model. So I think it was the Director of Lands Management or Property Management. It was a Zoom meeting. It was myself in the meeting and I think another member of staff, but not the Shire President. It's a fairly operational meeting. They have sent an email to me following that meeting requesting an extension on the agreement to lease on the property. They are, as they're heading into a federated model of governance, reviewing all of their different leases and agreements to lease, and are presenting an item to their board, I think in October this year. So they've requested a holdover or an extension on the agreement to lease for another few months. I'm working out whether there is a delegation in place for that through a specific resolution of council which occurred previously. Some elected members may recall there was an offer from Baptist Care to lease that site, but before the lease could be activated, there was 5 or 6 conditions precedent in a contract. Baptist Care haven't yet met those conditions precedent, and so the lease hasn't activated yet. The indication from Baptist Care is that they are probably likely to relinquish the agreement to lease on that site. But until they have their board meeting later this year, we won't have a definitive answer on it. There's also, in regards to Baptist Care's lease for Moonya Lodge, the correct terminology, that is expiring shortly as well, and so there'll need to be some consideration to the extension of that lease. In relation, Madam President, if I can, on the second question, we'll have to take that one on notice. I don't know the precise dollars, cents, and the other questions I can provide a response to, but I think it's better if it's all provided in writing in one hit.
Thank you. Okay. 12, motions for consideration at the following meeting. Councillor De Campo.
Thanks, Madam President. I have 2. The first one is that Council direct the Chief Executive Officer to commence a Shire-wide strategic asset review by preparing a project planning report. This report, to be presented to Council no later than September 2024, shall include the proposed project objectives, scope of works, timeframe, estimated costs and methodology. That, what he said.
Thank you, Councillor De Campo.
The second one, though, Madam President,
Oh,
is that Council direct the CEO to develop a rating review and rating strategy in time for the 2025-26 budget, which includes consideration of matters such as, but not limited to, differential rating, e.g. plantations, pack houses, informal settlement rates, etc.
Thank you, Councillor De Campo. 13, new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. There is none. Meeting closed to the public. We would like to thank our masses of people in the gallery for attending today. You're more than welcome to wait, but we do have a confidential item that we need to consider behind closed doors. Councillor De Campo.
I'll move that we go behind closed doors.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Omadei, all those in favour? Carried 8-0. Thank you. Yeah, I remember how to do it. I remember how to do it. I know.
Look at you go.
Even got it in the right order.